Okay, well, listen to this. I was doing this at like 11.
All right. Questions from the homework last night. Did anybody not do their homework last night?
Evie didn't.
I did too. I did it late.
I'm like,
Questions from the homework.
I like a fit in my throat.
I want to go put your Corolla, but these are the videos, so I can't ask.
Questions? Let me see.
I'm gonna sound so dumb if I ask questions. Literally, and I can't even ask them later because Matthew's in there on authority.
No questions.
Everything made sense? All right. And then we shall move on to 7-4.
Oh my God, we're doing 3 today.
We're doing 3 today, yeah. Well, look at the notes on this one. Okay.
There's a quiz tomorrow.
Yes, there is. Very good.
With no heads up.
I gave you a packet back last week that told you what the schedule was. I would say that more than a week's warning is more than a good heads up.
I think I broke my.
So yes, quiz tomorrow.
The notes are just so rigorous today.
Well, this is one, Evie.
Okay, so we learned how to write KP, KC, QP, QC. Now we're going to start doing some calculations for these. Okay, so now they're giving us some values and they're telling us somewhere in the experiment we had this value. Okay, they told us that over here they have, so all you have to do is just plug in those.
From Quill and Scroll, Interact Club, and Global Scholars, please report to the small odds for photos. Quill and Scroll, Interact, and Global Scholars to the small odds.
Ever said that, man?
Thank you.
I was like so scared.
All right, so we are going to calculate the reaction quotient here. So all we have to do is plug in the values where they belong. This was our Cu2+. So we find that on our list. That goes on the bottom because it's a reactant. We have to square it because there is a 2 here for the coefficient. Then our Pb2+, so make sure you find that correct one in the list. That is 5. It doesn't get squared or anything because there's only a 1 here for a coefficient. Then our top values are our products. We need to find Cu+ now. So that's 2, and we need to square it because we have a 2 for our coefficient. And then our Pb4+ is here. That's a 3. We don't do anything to it because there isn't a coefficient up front. Then all you have to do is plug and chug. Okay, multiply. You know, you got to square this and then multiply those together. Hit your divide. Make sure when you go down here on this line that you put this in parentheses in your calculator. Because if you hit divide and then put this guy in and then hit multiply, that's going to put this value back up here. Okay, so be careful with your calculator. Here, they're giving us the reaction quotient or the equilibrium constant for this. They're telling us the partial pressures of these. They are all gases, so they're all going to be in here. And they're telling us that this, then we're trying to figure out the pressure of this guy. So if you think of this as your variable, and then all you have to do is just go through and solve. Okay. All right, so let's do some practice here.
This is scary.
All right. So we want to know the reaction quotient for this given these values. So when we do this, let me get my comment turned on so we can write on this guy. All right. When we do this, we're going to have our products on top. So I'm going to start with them. My CO2 is here. So I'm going to have 0.789. What do I need to do to that? Cube it because of the coefficient here. I'm going to multiply that by my H pressure. And I need to raise that to the 4th power. I'm then going to divide by 1.23 times my oxygen, which is 4.56. And I need to raise that to the 5th power. Let's see if you can calculate that on your calculator. I want to make sure that you know how to get your calculator to work right. So get your calculator out and try this, and don't just write down my answer. Go. I know you're trying to be lazy about it.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, yeah, I can't focus. Now this is over. Hopefully I got this right.
What'd you get?
Hold on, I have to put in 5.92.
Wait, what's that? Oh, no, this is not.
What's the answer? Oh my god, this is embarrassing.
Oh, yeah,
You're embarrassing. Did you guys change your schedule?
No, not yet, but we are going to.
I'm taking into your 3rd hour.
Yay!
You're gonna be my cadet.
Oh, yay!
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm doing. No, but this is what I have to listen to the whole time. Lippy, why are you looking at me like that?
Now Lippy doesn't.
He doesn't have
Lippy, I'm sorry.
Did you get this as your answer?
They said rest on the middle of the gym floor.
Okay.
All right. The next problem, they did not give you as much information as you need. They needed to either tell you that it was endothermic or they needed to tell you this. Okay. So on your sheet, that did not get included. So make sure that you notice this. So that means that this is going to have heat on this side of the equation, right? Heat's going to act kind of like a reactant, yes? All right. We need that when we get down to here. All right. So this is, we're going to do equilibrium concentration. So this is Kc. See if you can come up with a Kc value given this information here.
We have to find the letter C. C isn't there.
Yep.
Yes, I see that.
Then why'd you say? Well, because I wasn't quite following.
I think I was just thinking.
You know, I asked Ellen, she was in such a high class, and she sent me a TikTok.
So you're solving for this guy right here. Whoops. Well, that didn't work out. Why did that not?
Oh my god.
I don't know why that's not working out.
Can you read it to me?
We're solving for this guy right here.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you figured it out. Yay. We were working on this yesterday in
They're ahead of us?
No, how to change the color of the pen.
Yeah, Lippy. It was a process. It was like,
Libby,
I could've figured out
how
how to change the color of the pen.
Here's something for them.
Wait, what's it say? Can you read it to me?
It says POV, me sitting on the toilet at 5:38 on a school day with the worst diarrhea medical history has ever seen. Knowing if I go back to bed, I only have 13 minutes before I have to wake up.
I can't say I related, but I knew that you related.
The dog, though. The dog is so funny.
So you should solve for C. You've got to take the square root at the end to be able to get it. But once you solve for C, you should get 0.0476. And then what are my units? Molar. Big M. Yep.
Libby, can you do me a huge favor? Can you please charge my milk? Yeah, Lily forgot to remind me yesterday 'cause she's just a horrible friend. Oh my gosh, I love you. Thank you.
Chocolate.
Wait, for the past 10 minutes, me and Ellie were, well, actually, no. All of Ellie was yelling at every single thing.
I was yelling at people.
Yesterday, I literally wanted Ellie to come correction.
All right. Did you get this answer? Hey, hens. Did you get this answer?
What you call
Hens.
it?
Hens.
Hens.
You're clucking over there. Did you get this answer?
Wait, which number do you use? Like, do you? I'm having a hard time, like, comprehending.
Okay, wait.
All right.
But don't you have to, so you have to solve, so you have to get everything to the other side, but what's the number on the other side?
This,
That's
so 0.0234 equals
Okay,
C
this is
squared
what- I
times
got it.
D
Don't worry.
over A squared times B. I thought you guys could substitute simple algebra. All right, this should end up being your answer right here.
One more second. Oh. Libby, I can TA for you like all of my every single hour next year except an English hour.
Yeah, two TAs.
Well, I'm gonna do every single hour because Libby said it's okay. You know what I'll do? I'll take a study hall, just come up, TA. I just want to spend my whole senior year with Libby.
And then I'll TA for. She rolled her eyes at you. I'll
I'm not even your favorite teacher. You guys said the other day that Budrow was.
No!
Shut up.
Good one, Libby.
All right, you ready? You good?
Oh, hold on.
Why is it taking you so long? Because you're talking. Stop
I
clucking.
got it. I got it. I have it.
Stop
I
clucking.
didn't get it.
I hear the door closing.
So Evie,
Oh, wait, hold on.
multiply these three things together
I did that.
and divide by this guy.
I think
Yeah.
that's why-
Then take the square root of that answer.
Got it.
Wider than the fourth hour. Is it because
I
you're
got
wisely
it.
screwed?
All right. Now, we need to talk about this next one. Okay? You ready? So, this is a little more complicated, so I need you guys to pay attention to this one. In this reaction, if it was performed at a lower temperature, the KEQ is lower. What will happen to the amount of all the reactants and the products in terms of increasing or decreasing by X or a multiple of X? Okay. Well, some of them will increase, some of them will decrease. Okay. If this is at a lower temperature and the KEQ is lower, that means that our reactants would have gotten bigger, right? and these would have gotten smaller, yes? If KEQ is smaller, that means that this number went down and this number went up. Because you're dividing by a bigger thing, thus making this smaller.
What's the next club?
NHS.
Okay, 8 divided by 2 is 4, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, if this number goes down, so let's say that this number is a 2 now, what had to happen to these numbers? Well,
The bottom one had to get bigger,
okay,
or the top one had to get smaller.
and in this case, that's going to happen because it's at equilibrium. So if one gets bigger, the other gets smaller. If you take from this, that means that this is going to get bigger.
Well, what number is going to be divided?
Well, what do we need to have to divide by?
It can't be 8. It has to
Okay,
be
fine,
smaller.
fine. Then I'll make this bigger. I can't do it with this stupid thing. Hold on. I can do it. Just wait. Just wait.
Oh, like 8.
I could do a 3 here and a 6 here. There you go.
Oh, I get it. That makes a lot more sense.
Okay,
Who's right all the time?
Lippy. All right. Okay, does that make sense in terms of what's had to happen to get this number lower? They told us, hens. They told us that this number was lower. So that means that this number had to get smaller and this one had to get bigger. Okay?
So products is on the bottom.
Products is on the top.
Products is on the top, so you would have to have less product, more.
Yep. Does that make sense logically?
They're not switching anymore.
Yeah. How do you do the top, the reaction to a?
I don't know.
This, I just subbed in values. So they gave us the K. That's right here. C is what we're solving for. It has to be squared because of this. And then I subbed in the rest of those things. This got erased already. So
And wait, products is on top.
Okay, wait, what are we switching?
yeah, products is on top.
She's going to switch this guy's soul next out.
Oh, banana. I really think that's it. I feel like getting this and
All right, I need to get moving, guys. Okay.
Wait, why is that wrong?
It's not. I just need room to write. And I've already explained what's going on. I've explained this. So I'm just erasing that so that I can have a little bit of room to write here. Okay. So now we know that if KEQ is lower, we're looking in terms of what's going to happen with X or Y. Okay. So we know that A is a reactant, correct? A is a reactant. And we just said that our reactants are going to get bigger, right? So whatever A's value is, 0.261. Okay. We're going to add, they wanted us to do this in terms of X. We're going to add 2X to that. This is why we have to add the 2 in front of the X. Okay, so A will equal this. What do you think B's going to equal?
just 0.2, or no, 4.13 plus X.
Plus X, good. Okay. Now we're going to figure out C. C is going to equal 0.0476. No, not plus. Remember what we have to do there.
Students who are a part of
Minus.
co-op
2x.
National Honor Society or Jazz
And D
Please
equals,
report to small
you just wait
auditorium
1
for
second, let me
photos.
get this thing down.
Again,
Seriously, you're gonna walk out of here?
National Honor
I had
Society
one
or
problem to
Jazz
go.
Ensemble
One
club.
thing to
Please
write.
report to the
Go.
small auditorium. Thank
More
you.
important. 2.91, I don't even know why she bothered to come back. Minus x. Questions?
You know, I was only here for about. I got it with questions, and I completely understand. I have been here for about.
What?
I'm so excited. This is right in my day.
What is X?
Because
We don't know.
We don't know.
No, we don't know. They're just asking us, like, what's going to happen. So, does this make sense as far as these going up and down? And why these are x versus 2x? That's all you're supposed to get out of this problem.
And you minus when it's the product. And you add when it's
In this case, right, because our KEQ went down.
Who's he saying that to? This guy?
delivery process.
Guys, hens, hush.
K went down.
K went down, which means that this had to go up and this had to go down.
Okay, so that's why you're adding that.
If K would have gone up, then these would have been the opposite. Okay. All right. Any other questions on 7.4 before we move to 7.5? All right, here we go. So we have talked about how, oh, I got to turn on comments here. All right. We've learned that to find both the value of the equilibrium constant and the concentrations, when you have the equilibrium constant, that we know how to calculate that now. Okay. But we haven't really talked about what that means. I was touching on it a little bit last time as far as what that means. Okay. Now, if your K value is really small, that means that we are, so if our K value is really small, so if this is a tiny number, that means that this number down here has to be very large. And this number up here has to be small. So if this is tiny, that means that this number needs to be really big. This number represents what? Reactants. So your reactants are favored. We're going to have most of the stuff as reactants and very little as product. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If your reactants are favored, you know, a little bit, if K is less than 1, but not like super small, then that means that you're still going to have more reactants than you have products, but it's not going to be quite as big of a difference. If your K value is bigger than 1, then that means that your products, that you have more of those and that you have fewer reactants. And if this is really big, then that means that you have a lot more products than you do reactants. So this number is going to be bigger than this number. Does that make sense mathematically, like what's happening there?
Yes.
So that's what they're talking here about, reactants favored or products favored. This one will have barely done anything. Most of the stuff is going to stay as reactants. This is almost all of it is going to go to product. So when we were talking about, and I'm jumping ahead to like strong acids, weak acids, that sort of thing. When we're talking about strong acids or strong bases, remember we said that goes almost to completion. Okay, that's why they're strong, because almost all of those things separate out. All right. Here we're given our a K value here. They want to know what's going to go on with our reactants and our products. So this value, K, is very
very big.
Very big. So K is very big, which means what's going to be true of our reactants?
Lots of reactants. Wait, no. Lots of products, not a lot of reactants.
Right. This is going to be very large, and you're going to have very little of this left. Oh, I don't care. Just go.
You were saying no.
Does that make sense? If you just visually look at this, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what do you see about this value? This one's small. So that means what's going to be favored? Reactants. Okay. So the reactants are favored. So these, you're going to have a lot more of these and very little of C. So we're going to figure out which one of these cases is true. Well, we know that these are going to be bigger than C. So we know that C isn't going to be the biggest thing. So we're going to get rid of A and B and E right away. You see how I quickly eliminated those three options?
Yeah.
All right. Now we need to figure out between these two. Are you going to use up more A or more B?
More A.
More A. So you're going to have less A and more B left. So that is C would be your answer.
You use up more A. So more B is less than A.
Yeah, because you're going to use this. You started with the same amounts.
Oh.
Okay. So if you start with the same amounts, you're going to use this up twice as fast as this guy. All right. So that takes care of 7.5. Any questions about 7.5? All right. On to 7.6 then, which is properties of the equilibrium constant. So this is just manipulating. This is just manipulating our equations and seeing what's going to happen to K. And I think we talked about this yesterday. Somebody asked me if we flip the equation around, what would we do for that? And I said it would be the inverse, right? It would be 1 over something. Okay. So just kind of reflecting back on yesterday's discussion. So here we have A plus 2B and C is on the other side. This is your K is 100. So if we flip that equation around and we know K, then all we have to do is find the inverse of 100. So what is the inverse of 100? 0.01. So if you flip the equation around, your K becomes the inverse. If you multiplied it by 2, then you would square your K. And where this is going to come in handy is, remember we had those elementary reactions and where we had to like add elementary reactions up to get our overall reaction. That's where this comes into play at. So if we have here our reaction 1 and our reaction 2, K equals 100, K2 equals 5. If we combine these two reactions together, then we will end up taking and multiplying our K values together to get the overall. So if we have the K values of the elementary steps, then we are going to multiply them together to get our overall reaction.
Oh, and the C's and the overall, or like the reason why the C's not in there is because they cancel?
Yep. So that's not going to appear down here because this would, if you put this all together as one line, your C's would end up canceling out.
So is it kind of like an intermediate?
Yeah, C was an intermediate. You can see that here. C's here. It's used up here. It's gone.
Students from Future Educators class and GSA clubs, please report to the small auditorium for photos. The Future Educators and GSA clubs, please report to the small auditorium.
All right, so we've got our reactions here. Okay. They've given us these. This is the overall reaction. We have to figure out how to get to the overall reaction. Okay. So how did they get this overall reaction? What did they need to do here? Well, I can see that this E has a 2 in it. So I'm going to have to multiply. I have to multiply this elementary step by 2. If I do that, what do I have to do to this guy? Square it. Okay. And then to find out K, I've got to multiply these two things together.
What? No, that's just going.
By the way, the units K and Q are unitless, which is kind of nice. You don't have to worry about units on those. K and Q are unitless.
Wait, so you add K1 and K2 together?
Yeah.
Oh, you add them?
Or
No.
what do you do? Multiply. Oh,
Because you're putting 2 reactions.
that's where my math.
So it's 15 times 15 times 5, right?
Yeah, how did I get that for the answer? Wait a minute.
Well, it's 15
Oh, wait a minute. This is not the right sheet. Hold on. Hold on. Let me get to the right page. Helps if I'm at the right page. Sorry. Get rid of that. It should be 1125. Yeah, that's right. Good? Better? Okay. All right. So now,
Whoa.
I don't even know why I bothered to try to lecture today.
You're not even on that left anymore. You should ride with you and then about your.
All right, we need to figure out how to manipulate this equation so that we can get this as the overall. And then at equilibrium, we want to know if the products or the reactants are favored. Okay? And how will we know that? What will we look at?
We will look at K,
And how will we know which one's favored?
the size of K.
So if K is small, then reactants are favored. If K is large, products are going to be favored. So see if you can flip these guys around, multiply them, do whatever you got to do to them to come out with the right answer for that, and then tell me which one of these is favored. Go. I sit here and enjoy my coffee for a minute. That's because you can't focus. Clucks, cluck, 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 cluck. Hens, get to work.
She's being rude to me because I have a stomach issue.
It's right in OH.
OH, are you stupid?
I don't understand. I don't. So then the product.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come in here.
Oh, I see where I went wrong. I found the.
Okay.
Well, now she's there.
You're fake. I asked you to come in yesterday.
Edie, are you done with this?
Close.
Focus.
Stop, I don't know. I wouldn't know.
I'm trying to figure out,
What? Yeah, since I already like switched it up. Like, I already like that before, you know?
you went in the shoe bathroom.
All right, let's see here. You would have found HXCL. That's going to be normal. Okay, and that's going to go here, and that produces HX minus plus CL. And we didn't do anything to that guy, so he is going to stay at 6.2 times 10 to the 9. All right. The next one then, I'm going to have H plus OH minus. And that's going to be H2O over here. What did I have to do to get this? I had to flip it. So when I flip it, I have to take the reciprocal of this.
1 over.
Yeah, 1 over, or you can do that to the -1. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it.
Wait, that to the negative what?
You can type this number in and hit X to the -1 key on here. That's the reciprocal.
Oh, yep. So you don't.
Okay. No. No, don't put a negative in front of it. No, don't do that. X to the -1.
Over here.
This guy right here on your calculator, right up from the square key, that's your reciprocal key. Okay? That will do the same thing as this.
All right, last call for Alliance Club. If you would like to get your picture taken for your book, we are meeting in the small auditorium. And
All right.
also aspiring educators class, if you would like to have your picture for your book, please.
Then I've got
Thank you.
X negative X2 minus plus H plus. What did I have to do to get this? I had to flip it, so that means I need to do the reciprocal of this guy. And why did I do all of that? Because that way things would cancel out. Okay? I'm able to get this to cancel. I'm able to get, it looks, am I supposed to have a negative there? It's supposed to be negative up there. But I wanted that in the overall. I need to get this guy canceled out. Okay, so that leaves me with the right stuff on that side. And I've got the right stuff on this side. So that enabled me to get everything to cancel out that I needed to. Now what do I need to do with these things? Right, I need to multiply all of these things together. And when you do that, you end up with 1.1 times 10 to the 27, which means which is going to be favored? Products. I would suggest if you guys were in and out a lot that you go back and watch the video to get caught up on this stuff.
I'm coming back in, so is that okay?
That's fine. All right. Well, if it's okay with your, I don't know who you have for 8th hour, so I'm not telling you. Okay. Do you need a pass?
Yes. Yes.
It's a her. Oh, is that why you left? Or that's why you just left? You look good.